Bolivia. In this book from the 1970s, there's something said about it. There is said that it is in South America, more in the northern part of South America. And it is neighboring Brazil and Peru and Chile and Argentina and Paraguay. And they're saying that the country is very high, lying up in the Andes. It has some passes over, so points where people can walk over to Peru. Okay. And they are all higher than 4,000 meters high. So even the lowest points between all the volcanic peaks, which are 7,000 meters high, the lowest passes are over 4,000 meters high. It's quite a remote country, which is also one reason why not so many immigrants came at the turn of the 19th to the 20th century, which came to whole Americas, not so much to Bolivia. And then there is the Altiplano. That is a high windswept cold plateau between the Cordillera Occidental and Cordillera Central lying, and that is a big area, and there's cold, windy, and so on. In the north, there's the Lake Titicaca, bisected with Peru or Chile, and that is the highest navigable water on the earth. It is lying over 3,218 meters high and has a surface size of 8,000 square kilometers and a depth of more than 230 meters. There the temperatures are a bit more moderate. On the plateau they are 10 degrees, not much change winter to summer. Now there by the Lake Titicaca, there's also the capital, La Paz, 600,000 inhabitants in the 1970s. The whole country is 6 million. And there are some sheep and llamas and alpaca, and also some grain and potatoes are done with agriculture. Then there is the Cordillera Central, and then it goes on with the Cordillera Oriental also, and then goes on to the Amazon with the rivers Mamoré and Benin and Madre de Dios. And in these valleys there's then more ground with agriculture. To the eastern part there are also citrus fruits then a bit done, and olive plants and sugar and rice, alfalfa in some regions more there. And there's then rainforest also. And the country was very dependent on tin exports. That has gone a bit down since the country is exporting crude oil and natural gas to Brazil and Argentina. And it is also then mining in the Cordillera Oriental or Central. There are minerals found, bismuth, antimony. There is the scope to extract also iron and zinc. And now the country had some turmoils, then later on the 3 wars. Let's start with history first, which we have. There was in the 7th to the 10th century the city Tijuana, and that was already a big organization, so it showed that the people lived there in big organization and had skillful art, a big town. Bolivia was then conquered in the 15th century by the Incas from Peru, but there was still a considerable amount of governing. Then some people from Spain came, and the book is then saying that the people from Spain enslaved the people there cruelly, and that led to many bloody revolts. The Spaniards, when they were there, found also at Polosi the largest silver amount at one place in the earth. And then there was independence in 1825. There was Simón Bolívar and also the General Antonio José de Sucre. And after Simón Bolívar, the country is named after its independence, 1825. And then also 3 wars. There was the War of the Pacific, 1879-1883. There Bolivia lost the territory which were connecting it to the Pacific, to Peru or Chile. And then there was another war, and in that it lost the territory to Brazil, 1903, the Amazon territory. There's also more rain to Brazil, with the rainforest. And then there was another war in 1928, 1932, the Chaco War, and losing the territory to Paraguay. And then also a bit turmoil further on. And that is your written book to Bolivia. The book is the Reader's Digest Library of Modern Knowledge, Book 3, Part 23, Nations and Places, by Monica Beckinsale, Robert Beckinsale, Harold Blackmore, DJ Dwight, Keith Lyle Stewart, and Nancy McMillan, R.E.H. Miller, Kevin Rafferty, D.H. Sinclair, Arthur Spencer, G.S. Derry, Kenneth Walton, James Waters, on the pages 1134 and 1135, all written in the year 1978. And the positions and views expressed are the ones of the source and don't necessarily align with my own or with the ones of the entity spoken. Hi and welcome. I am trying to learn international studies, today Bolivia, and after we've done that, we're going to do body-centered training. And if you participate in the body-centered training, then it's at your own risk. And this is the second part. We already read the introduction and economy. And the book is from 1978, so all the original is from 1978. It is in South America, Bolivia. Okay, people and history. Because of its, and after we've done it, we're going to do body-centered training. To participate in body-centered training, then it's at your own risk. People and history. Because of its remoteness, lying in the ends so much in South America, Bolivia was hardly touched by the waves of immigration in the late 19th and early 20th century that had such an immense effect on most of the Americas. Okay, many immigrants came to Northern and Southern America 1818 to 1920, but not so much to Bolivia because it's lying so high up remote. The Indians are dominated by a small white elite with people of mixed race called cholos, providing a lower middle class of artisans and small businessmen. Okay, there are people living, and there are also some people who have more power or money, and other people who have less. And most people who have more money, the elite, are having a white skin color, and there are also cholos, and they are more the middle class. The Indian two-thirds of the population in 1978, the Indian two-thirds of the population are made up of Quechua, Aymara, and other races who were part of the Inca Empire and occupy the highlands, and about 100,000 more primitive peoples of the jungle tribes. Okay, the total population, we have 6 million in 1976. Okay, there two-thirds of the population are Quechua and Aymara, who are descendants of the people of the Inca Empire, and also 100,000 people are also living there in a more traditional way. The people of European origin and the cholos are concentrated largely in the basins of the Cordillera Oriental. The Cordillera Oriental, with its volcanic peaks, rises to over 7,000 meters. Even the lowest passes are above sea level. Spurs from the Cordillera run out into the Altiplano, a bleak, high windswept plateau. Okay, I think it was the western part of Bolivia. The border of Chile is formed by the Cordillera Occidental. The rate of population growth is only 1.4%, and less than 1/3 of all Bolivians live in cities or towns. So 2/3 are living in the countryside in the 70s. The life expectancy is under 50, and the rate of literacy stands at about 50%. When Spaniards seeking gold and silver arrived in Upper Peru, as Bolivia was then called, in the 1530s, the country already had a long history. Okay, first, 1530 there came people who were from Spain to the region which is today Bolivia, then called Upper Peru. Now, the ruins of Tiahuanaco testify to the social organization and technical skill of the inhabitants who lived there from 600 to 900 after Christ, in the 7th to the 10th century, so around 1,000 years ago. The Incas of Peru conquered the region in the 15th century, but allowed it a considerable degree of local government. Okay, first, there are the ruins of a city where at the Titicaca Lake, Tiahuanaco. And there, 1,000 to 1,400 years ago, the people living, and they had social organization in building a city and technical skill. They were conquered, they or people living at the same place, were conquered by the Incas, but kept a local self-government. The Spaniards, then in the 1530s, found a Potosi, the richest single source of silver ever discovered. So it is not the name for source, but it's somewhere a town. There, Potosi there. So at the town today, Potosi, people from Spain found in the 16th century or something the largest amount of silver which ever was found in one place. Their cruel enslavement of the Indians to work the mines provoked many bloody revolts. Okay, they are saying here that the people who were there from Spain in the 15th, 16th, 17th century did enslave the people under cruel conditions, and that, as the text is indicating it, understandable so, provoked then revolts which happened to be bloody. Most of Spanish America had been liberated before Antonio José de Sucre, Simón Bolívar's most brilliant general, won the country its independence in 1825. By saying of Spanish America, they used that expression once previously. Belize, neighboring Guatemala, but it's a bit more in the north. Neighboring Guatemala has laid claim to the territory since 1821, when Central America became independent of Spain. Okay, Spanish America. So whatever exactly that means, a part of the Americas was, around the beginning of the 19th century, governed by Spain. And when the person Simón Bolívar, which was a general of Antonio José de Sucre, won the independence for the country in 1825, and the text is now not saying clearly if at that point most parts of Bolivia, through being part of Spanish America, were liberated, or that other parts of Spanish America, maybe nothing of the territory of Bolivia, were already liberated. I think they mean that other areas of Spanish America, regions next to Bolivia, were no longer ruled or governed or controlled by Spain, and then in 1825 the country won under the generalship of Simón Bolívar its independence in 1825. Upper Peru was then renamed Bolivia in honor of its liberator, Simón Bolívar. Independence, however, brought Bolivia only a line of incompetent and repressive dictators. It lost its coastal regions to Chile in the War of the Pacific, 1879-1883, its Amazon territory to Brazil in 1903, and areas of the Chaco to Paraguay in the Chaco War, 1932-1935. Okay. The region of Bolivia, named after then Simón Bolívar, the general who seemed to have won for another important person, Antonio José de Sucre, the country's independence in 1825, was larger. Then there were three wars. One with Chile, losing the coastline to Chile and becoming there through landlocked. Another one with Brazil, losing there through the territory of the Amazon forest. And another one with, where is it even written? I think it was Paraguay, but where is this written? With Paraguay. In the Chaco War, also in the 30s, a third war, losing more territory. The leader who made most impact on the country, Victor Paz Estenssoro, was elected in 1951. Okay, then another important person, Victor Paz Estenssoro, elected 1951 and introduced sweeping reforms in 1951. His efforts foundered in economic chaos, and the army forced him into exile in 1964. It has run the country since, despite sporadic unrest. Okay. In 1951, Victor Paz Estenssoro became president or something, the leader. He made many reforms, but that didn't really work out. In 1964, he had to leave the country, and from 1964 until the book was written in 1978, it was ruled with sporadic political unrest by the military, I guess. Okay, capital, La Paz, 1 million square kilometers, 6 million population. Okay. If you were here for international studies, you can go directly to the next part of international studies, where we try to make a presentation based on this information we have over Bolivia, or about Bolivia, from 1978. If you stay here and participate in the body-centered training, then it's already on risk. Have the feet staying shoulder width apart, down into the knees, flex the legs and press them together, and then straighten one leg, and bend it again. Press them together, straighten one leg, bend it, and up. Legs to the sides, a bit down, legs, press together, over to one side, and over to the other side. Back into the middle, and up. Closer together, press to the outside. One leg up, right angle with the leg, flexed foot, even aligned hips, strong back, and press from the top against the knee. And press from the side. And press up and to the side. Press from the side and open, close. Other leg up, press on the top. From the side. Up and to the side. And from the outside, open and close. And now 3 exercises on the ground. First, a side plank on the elbow. And then the front leg up. Then on the long arm out, leg up, knee to elbow. And over to the other side. First, elbow. Then the front leg up. And then on the long arm, one arm mat up, leg up, knee to elbow. And up again. One heel onto the ground, pull the toes in, move the leg from left to right. Other heel onto the ground, pull the toes in, move the leg from left to right. And one leg up. The other one. Take one leg at the ankle, tuck the tailbone in, change. Legs to the sides, breathing down. In and up. And out, in and close the legs. And again out. That was the body center training. I thank you very much, and until next time.